Ladies and gents, I am the one and only DJ Storms. Welcome back to the channel on YouTube.com. It is, of course, Monday, April 12th, 2021. This is the official rewind for WWE WrestleMania 37, night number 2, which, of course, streamed live on Peacock at 8 p.m. Eastern Time last night from Raymond James Stadium in Tampa Bay, Florida. And a lot of people were looking forward to night 2, me included, because night 2 actually had the better lineup. And if you want to know what I am currently thinking on night number 2's behalf, as far as did it deliver in terms of it being better than night 1, I would say yes. However, I'm not sure if you guys got this vibe. But regardless of whether or not WrestleMania was a good show, and it was a fairly good, not great, not fantastic. It wasn't anything near close to what WrestleMania should be, but it was a fairly good show, a fairly good two-night event spread across both April 10th and April 11th. Overall, a fairly good show. The majority of matches delivered. The majority of matches were very good matches. The majority of matches had the right outcomes. But at the end of the day, the build, the storyline, creative writing, and the production of superstars on television, all of that is just as important as what the individuals booked in these matches do in the ring. And it's becoming more and more apparent. It really is. WWE, as we know, has the most talented roster in the entire world. Hell, if we're going to be quite honest here, in terms of pro wrestling in terms of an in-ring perspective, is currently at the best age that it's ever been in. We are currently living in the best era of wrestling from an in-ring perspective. WWE, more likely than not, whenever we have shows that have just had shit builds, which in WWE's case is 99.9% of the time, they always turn out to be fairly good wrestling shows, and that's great and all, but it's really become so, what's the word that I'm looking for? It's really become so stereotypical of WWE. It's becoming so tiresome. It's becoming so tiresome that we have to go into literally every WWE show, and it's not just WrestleMania. It's literally every show, whether it be Raw or SmackDown, Royal Rumble, SummerSlam, Backlash, the Elimination Chamber, WrestleMania, any show related to the WWE main roster product. We go into it with a shitty build, and they've been operating with this mentality of, oh, hey, we're WWE, people are going to watch anyway. And I said the same thing on the Rewind for WrestleMania Night 1. WrestleMania 37 as a whole, both nights, could have been better than they were. They could have been better than they were, but they weren't because of the piss-poor build, booking, and the production of the storylines, the feuds, the angles, the weekly programming, and the superstars as a whole. And that's what I don't like. The majority of the matches were very good. Majority of the matches on night 2 were very good. We got a nice, solid night 2. I would definitely give night 2 the edge over night number 1. Obviously, it was certainly far from perfect. There are a lot of things that I'm going to rant about, so you are going to want to strap in for this one. You are not going to want to miss a single fucking moment of me ripping certain segments and matches a new fucking asshole on this show. But the main problem with the WWE product is the fact that they just don't give a shit. They really just don't give a shit. And regardless of whether or not we got an overall fairly good WrestleMania across both night 1 and night 2, because both nights were fairly decent, with night 2 obviously being the better of the two. No matter whether or not the majority of matches were good, no matter whether or not the majority of matches had the right outcomes, no matter whether or not new stars were created, no matter whether or not Roman Reigns continued his reign of dominance, no matter whether or not we are finally done with this Shane McMahon, Braun Strowman bullshit, no matter whether or not Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn delivered an excellent fucking match for 10 minutes and they got a moment on WrestleMania in front of live human beings, no matter all of that, all of this good stuff, it doesn't change the fact that when we turn on the USA Network for Monday Night Raw tonight, it doesn't change the fact that we're still going to get a complete fucking shit show. That's the main thing. WWE delivers decent material every now and then, but they never fucking follow up on it because they just don't give a shit. Vince McMahon, he just doesn't give a shit. The fact that we got a fairly good overall WrestleMania, even though it didn't really feel like WrestleMania because of the piss-poor creative writing, we got a fairly good wrestling show, but the piss-poor creative writing, the creative writing really can bring a show down or it can bring a show up. This show realistically should have been a great show, but it was just good because of the creative writing. Creative writing can play a pivotal role in making a match, a segment, a storyline, a feud, or an overall show. It has the power to bring something that's decent up to something that's good, or something that's good up to a very good status, or something that's very good up to a great status. And everything on the show across both nights, it just doesn't feel like anything. And the only thing that actually feels important, surprise, surprise, is Roman Reigns, his feud, his match, his storyline, and everything that they're doing with him. That's the only thing that really feels important. That's the only thing that really feels like we can invest in that. That's the only thing that is actually worth your time. Everything else on the show, it just felt like a shrug of the shoulders show. Better than night 1, for sure. Not to say that night 1 was a bad show. It was a fairly decent show. But at the end of the day, outside of Roman Reigns, like I've been saying, there's just nothing on the WWE product that we can latch onto. And the entire show, outside of Roman Reigns, it just did not feel like WrestleMania because of the simple fact that the creative writing just destroys everything. And again, I've stated it once and I'm going to say it again. They just don't give a shit. And it's going to become more and more apparent that they don't give a shit because of the simple fact that they're making all this money from the Peacock deal, so they don't got to do a fucking thing. And sooner rather than later, probably by the end of the year when a lot of people are fucking vaccinated, they're probably going to look to go back to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia and continue the deal with the Saudi Arabian princes because they take their money in the blink of an eye. So they're sitting on all this fucking cash and they can get away with just phoning it in. Not even phoning it in. They can literally get away with doing anything. Again, I've stated it before. You could literally take fucking Nicholas, referee John Cone's son, who won the fucking tag team titles with Braun Strowman. You could put him in there with Roman Reigns and have him beat Roman Reigns for the Universal title, and this company will still manage to stay afloat because Vince McMahon is just a sly motherfucker when it comes to business. He has all these tricks up his sleeve because he's been in the business realm for so many years. I'm not saying that Night 2 was bad at all. Night 2 was actually better than Night 1, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't really know how much more I can really keep up with just accepting that WWE can put on a good show, but we're going to get shit creative writing. At some point, WWE is going to have to look themselves in the mirror, and they're going to have to really put forth effort into their creative writing for the majority of people to actually fucking care. And if anything, I'm going to say it again, WrestleMania didn't even need to be 2 nights. You could have easily taken 5 or 6 of these matches off the fucking card. You could have taken the tag team turmoil off the card. You could have taken the tag team title match off the card. You could have taken Bad Bunny and Damian Priest versus Miz and Morrison off the card, even though it was a very good match. Bad Bunny didn't need to be on the show. You could have taken that off the card. Could have taken Braun Strowman and Shane McMahon off the card. You could have fucking taken AJ Styles and Omos off the card. All this shit you could have taken off the card. You could have taken 5 matches right there off the card and just made it one night. Could have made it one night. You could have actually given more time to matches that actually deserved it. You could have given more time to Cesaro and Rollins. Could have given more time to KO and Sammy. Could have given more time to Big E and Apollo. We didn't need all these unnecessary segments with Titus O'Neil and Hulk Hogan. Again, guest hosts, they don't play a factor. They don't enhance the show and they don't hurt the show. You could have taken away the fucking guest host. We didn't need all that shit. You could have taken away the 7 fucking minute promo packages before every fucking match. I don't mind the fucking promo package, but you don't need a 7-minute fucking promo package for every single fucking match. It's fucking tiresome. But ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go over night number 2. We're going to go over everything. We're going to go over the good. We're going to go over the bad, in which I thought was a fairly good night 2. Better than night 1, and the overall 2-night event for WrestleMania 37, it was a fairly good show. I'd probably give this a 6 out of 10, 6.5 out of 10, but do not get your hopes up. Like I say all the time, it does not mean that WWE is turning over a new leaf. It doesn't mean that WWE is going to magically get better overnight. It's about what happens tonight on Raw, Friday on SmackDown, and in the weeks to follow. Leading up into Backlash, obviously leading up into the next pay-per-view, which I assume is going to be Money in the Bank at the end of June. You know what I'm talking about. You already know. But I want to thank each and every single one of you for watching the video. I really appreciate each and every single one of you. You guys are the lifeblood of the DJ Storms channel. I know that a lot of people are doubters and haters, and they don't like what I gotta say. They don't like how I present myself. But I've remained true to myself, and I've stayed here. I've stuck to my guns, and now, look at me. Look at this dashing fucking demon in front of you on camera. I greatly appreciate each and every single one of you. The rewind for WrestleMania Night number 1, it didn't really do all too well. I was kind of doing multiple things, so I didn't really have too much time to share it out. I didn't really have too much time to promote it. But hopefully we do better with this video right here. Hopefully we do better with the rewind for WrestleMania Night number 2. I am going to be going to work after this as well. I gotta make some money. You already know. I'm back to what I usually do. In 3 weeks, 4 weeks actually, I graduate from college. So pretty fucking crazy as my life is going pretty fucking quick. My life's going pretty fucking quick, but I'm going to keep you guys up to date as far as what's going on. After my graduation, I have a couple job offers on the table. I'll keep you up to date as far as what's going on with the DJ Storms channel. Be sure, if you haven't already done so, please go check out the rewind for WrestleMania Night number 1. The link is down below in the description. I dissected everything that went down 2 nights ago on Saturday, and we talked about Bianca Belair's win, we talked about Cesaro's win, we talked about the horrendous fucking tag team turmoil match, we talked about Bad Bunny's great performance, we talked about Braun Strowman and Shane McMahon, not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Hopefully that feud's over. Actually, I do believe that feud is over, and we talked about where Braun Strowman and Bobby Lashley will go. Hint, hint, they're going to face each other. So please go check that out. The link is in the description. If you guys haven't already done so, please follow me on Twitter at HistoryMakerDJS. You will find out why I am the operator of the best damn Twitter handle known to mankind. Please go follow me on Instagram as well at the DJ Storms. Add me on Facebook for collaborations and business inquiries. Please send me an email. My email is, of course, StormsTakeOver@gmail.com. Like the official DJ Storms business page, and I may just send you an invite to join the official DJ Storms Posse group on Facebook. That is, all of those links are in the description. I don't really know what you guys are doing because we are about 15 minutes into the video, and if you guys haven't already done so, you need to make sure that you hit the like button. You see, there's a little like button, and it's right down there. All you need to do is scroll down and click that like button. Alright? It's not that hard. We didn't reach our goal of 30 likes as far as the rewind goes. We still got decent amount of views, decent amount of likes. I didn't have enough time to promote it, like I said, because I was getting shit ready for my graduation. But regardless of that, please make sure, if you haven't already done so, please make sure you hit the like button when you come on in. Please make sure, if you haven't already done so, to share out the stream, because that's the most important part. In order for us to reach our goals and in order for the likes to shoot through the roof, you guys need to share out the stream on all platforms of social media, whether it be Twitter or Pinterest or Instagram or Facebook or Tumblr. I want you to share out the stream everywhere you possibly can, because we want to get everybody in the chat right here to the right of me. We want to get everybody in this chat right here. I am talking about your mothers, your fathers, your brothers, your sisters, your aunts and your uncles, your grandmothers and your grandfathers, your cousins, your second cousins, your third cousins, your fourth cousins, your fifth cousins and sixth cousins twice removed, your dogs, your cats, and especially your guinea pigs, because I have articles lodged in files in my laptop stating, and I quote, from the world-renowned veterinarians in the United States, that if guinea pigs are in front of a screen, whether it be an iPad or an iPhone or a laptop, a television, and DJ Storms is on the screen, and they intake some of DJ Storms, they intake that controversy, they intake that charisma, they intake that energy, man, that the guinea pigs will live long, happy, healthy, fruitful lives. So if you have a pet guinea pig, you need to make sure that that guinea pig lives a long, happy, healthy, fruitful life, so you can cuddle with that guinea pig for as long as you damn well please. So get your guinea pigs in here. Notify the guinea pigs, man. The guinea pigs need to know DJ Storms is live on YouTube with the latest premiere. And it's the rewind for WrestleMania 37, night number 2. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so, because I want to gain more subscribers and I want to reach goals and I want to make sure that the DJ Storms channel is alive and well. So please, if you haven't already done so, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And when you hit that subscribe button, you got to make sure you hit that notifications bell with a huge coup de grace. That way you will know whenever I pop up on YouTube. Because whenever I pop up on YouTube, it is the best time to be on YouTube. It's the only time you get to see this glorious sideburn chin strap combination. And this beautifully grown mustache right here. Give me a second, man. There ain't no fucking question. I'm a little bit more energetic tonight. I'm feeling a little bit better. I'm feeling myself. I'm feeling hot because I'm happy. And I'm not just happy. I am dashing as they come. Everybody wants a piece of the Storms mice. They just gotta put my eyebrows in there as well. Look at that, look at that, look at that, look at that. I gotta touch everything up. I gotta touch everything up. As Earl Cole says, it's the magic comb, baby. Anyway, enough of the self-brand promotion and advertisements. I know. I'm hot, I know. We're gonna get straight into WrestleMania 37, night number 2. So, Titus O'Neil and Hulk Hogan kicked off the show. They were dressed like pirates. They did the same shit that they did for night number 1. This was quick. This was painless. And we started off the matches with Randy Orton versus The Fiend Bray Wyatt. So, we had this video package with The Fiend walking down like a ramp surrounded by metal chain and steel. It was almost as if, like you're ever driving on a highway and you see like those bridges to cross over from one end of the highway to the next. That's exactly what I got. That's the vibe that I got when I was watching Bray Wyatt walk down this ramp surrounded by the steel. It's like he was walking over a highway bridge. So he was burnt, and then all of a sudden we had him manifesting himself back to normal. That was like a Kevin Dunn initiative right there, in which Kevin Dunn abso-fucking-lutely tampered in the production truck, and he was having a field day with this shit. So after that, lights went out, and the Firefly Funhouse music came on with Alexa Bliss coming out first. She was smiling, she was waving, she was very giddy. So she walked to the ring, and there was a gigantic Jack in the Box at ringside. She cranked the winder. The music hit, and The Fiend rose up from the Jack in the Box, and he was relishing in the glory of WrestleMania, standing on top of the Jack in the Box, and he was just completely normal, by the way. So he was burnt on Monday Night Raw, and now he manifested himself magically back to normal. So I'm not sure if that one went over Bruce Pritchard's head, but a lot of people picked up on that. So he was relishing in the glory of WrestleMania. He was looking around. He was getting all hyped up. And then he jumped off the Jack in the Box onto Orton, and the match began. And The Fiend kept the aggression on. The fucking red lighting was back. So right then and there, I knew for a fact it was off to a bad start. I actually tweeted out, if this match is not either a complete squash or a 4-minute finisher fest, this show would have already been off to a bad start, and it was absolutely off to a bad start. This was absolutely the second worst match on the entire 2-night event. Because that tag team turmoil, I don't think anything will be as bad as that tag team turmoil. That may go down as the worst WrestleMania match of the modern era. Maybe one of the worst WrestleMania, maybe one of the top 3 worst WrestleMania matches of all time. But this was close. This was close second in terms of being that horrible. So the red fucking lighting was back. He was restored, was The Fiend. So I'm guessing they didn't want to continue the burnt mask. He actually looked better burnt. He actually looked more badass burnt, to be quite honest. So Orton sent The Fiend right into the Jack in the Box. Orton then tried to wear down The Fiend. Fiend missed a running senton. Orton hit a third draping DDT on The Fiend. We had The Fiend hitting the RKO. Orton was going to hit the RKO. But the RKO was countered into the mandible claw. And then Bray Wyatt had Randy Orton in position for Sister Abigail. All of a sudden, fire comes out of the ring posts. And we look over at the Jack in the Box, and Alexa Bliss is on the Jack in the Box, sitting in the Jack in the Box with her hair in a bun, wearing black clothes, drenched in black gunk. Literally fucking drenched, as if she looked like she was drenched in tar. Looked like she was fucking drenched in tar. The Fiend let Randy Orton go, and The Fiend was then reaching out to Alexa Bliss as if he was in a fucking trance. And you made the fucking Fiend, in that moment alone, you made the fucking Fiend look weak. His weakness is a woman. So The Fiend, in this fucking trance, walking towards Alexa Bliss with his hand out to Alexa Bliss, and then Randy Orton just turns around The Fiend, hits the RKO, and Randy Orton pins The Fiend 1, 2, 3. Afterwards, The Fiend got up, stared at Alexa Bliss. The lights then went out. And when the lights came back on, the fans booed as they faded to black and they got ready for the next match. I don't know who the fuck produced this. I don't know where they go from here. And I don't know what the fuck this was, but this was absolutely fucking terrible. This was actually worse than their match that they had at WrestleMania 33. And I don't even know how that's fucking possible. I don't even know how that's possible. I don't know what the fuck this was. I don't know what their motive was. I don't know what the fuck their endgame was. I'm not sure who made this decision. I am not sure what is going to come about in terms of this Bray Wyatt Alexa Bliss angle. But as far as I'm concerned, Bray Wyatt, he's dead. Once again, he's dead. Everyone was jumping for joy. Oh my God, this is the third fucking time, and Bray Wyatt's going to get back to where he was. What happened? What happened? He comes in, the match goes 7-8 minutes, and he loses to Randy Orton after one RKO. One RKO. And judging by how the fans booed, after the lights came back on and they were gone, Alexa Bliss and The Fiend were gone and everything was gone and nothing happened. Judging by the fact that the fans booed tells you that this feud, this angle, this storyline, and this entire fucking match was a complete fucking shitstorm. And I don't even know how many more scenarios and how many more situations like this need to happen before people realize that The Fiend is fucking buried. He's buried. He is dead. There is absolutely no coming back from it. And to be quite honest with you, I don't even know how Bray Wyatt resuscitates his career now. I, honest to God, don't know how the fuck Bray Wyatt is going to be able to rejuvenate his career for a third time. Honest to God, Bray Wyatt, he could spend 2, 3, 4 years away and nobody would bat an eyelash. The guy is just so fucking mishandled, so fucking mistreated to a point where it's like everything with this guy is just complete dog shit, no matter how you look at it. And then I had some fucking loser come into my mentions, oh yeah, being the opening match really means you're fucking buried. I think that Drew McIntyre's in that same camp. And it just goes to show you how retarded this fucking guy is. I'm not even going to say his fucking name. If you know, you know. I know for a fact that some people watching, they saw me rip this guy a new asshole. I never said that being the opening match was equivalent to being buried. The reason why The Fiend is buried is because of the simple fact that ever since that Hell in a Cell match with Rollins, every step of the fucking way, every single match, every single scenario, every single feud that The Fiend has had, minus Daniel Bryan, every single feud and every single scenario that The Fiend has been put in, The Fiend has completely fucking flopped. He lost a fucking Hell in a Cell match via referee stoppage when a Hell in a Cell match should not be stopped under any circumstances. He was given the Universal title, held it for 4 months, only for him to lose it to Goldberg in a 3-minute match from 4 spears and a botched jackhammer. Dead, right then and there. Then he went into a 4-month feud with Strowman, won the title back, held the title for a fucking week, only to lose it to Roman Reigns after Roman Reigns low-blowed him. Then he goes into a feud with Randy Orton. He was burnt alive at TLC, came back, and here he loses because of one measly RKO. Yet he's supposed to be this unstoppable monster from the depths of fucking hell. He's supposed to be this unstoppable mythical creature that we should all fear and cower for our lives. Really? You're telling me after all of that, Bray Wyatt is not buried? And I got some friends and fans who are actual fans of Bray Wyatt. I love Bray Wyatt, don't get me wrong, but if you are going to try and tell me that this shit is good, if you are saying, I don't even give a shit whether or not you enjoy it or not, if you enjoy it, fine. You're fucking stupid, but if you enjoy it, fine. But that don't mean it's good. It's not good. This undoubtedly right now is the worst storyline in all of pro wrestling. I'd even take the Miro Kip Sabian best friend storyline over this Fiend and Randy Orton storyline. And that really had no redeeming qualities at all outside of a couple decent matches. Miro got his first pay-per-view win, and then we had the Arcade Anarchy. I hated that. That was the worst storyline that AEW's ever produced, but I take that over the Fiend Orton storyline. What happens now? What happens now? What could they possibly... Here's a question that I want to ask for all you Bray Wyatt cocksuckers out there that absolutely love everything this guy does. What could they possibly do? What could they possibly do? What? What? What could they possibly fucking do that is going to resuscitate this guy's career and people are actually going to give a shit about him? What the fuck could they possibly do with Bray Wyatt that is going to get you, the viewer, interested again? What could they possibly do to bring Bray Wyatt back to prominence? I'll give you the answer to that right now. There is absolutely nothing that they do is going to be able to bring Bray Wyatt back to the prominence that he had all the way back at SummerSlam of 2019, going into that Hell in a Cell match with Seth Rollins. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. It doesn't matter how you look at it. It doesn't matter who you put him in there with. It doesn't matter where the storyline with Alexa Bliss is going. Bray Wyatt, honestly, should not see the light of WWE television for years. And if anything, if I was Bray Wyatt, I would just walk as well. I would just walk. I would pull a pack, pull a punk. Just walk. It's not fucking worth it. It really isn't. And I absolutely fucking hate it. I really do. I hate saying this because I know how good Bray Wyatt is. Bray Wyatt absolutely is the most underutilized and the most misused superstar of the modern era. And I'm even putting him in the most misused superstar category over Dolph Ziggler. At least Dolph Ziggler has actually developed a fucking resume, and at least he's had a Hall of Fame-worthy career for himself. At least he's a fucking champion. Even if the SmackDown Tag Team titles are fucking worthless, but at least he's a fucking champion. This was fucking terrible. Fans booed, rightfully fucking so. I don't give a shit about what happens next. Where does Randy Orton go? I don't fucking know, to be quite honest with you. I don't fucking know, to be quite honest with you. If I was Randy Orton, I think I'd probably put him in the Money in the Bank ladder match. I'm not sure what happens to Randy Orton after that. Maybe he goes into a program with Matt Riddle. Maybe they put him in the United States Championship title picture. Maybe they put him against Damian Priest. I definitely would not mind Randy Orton versus Damian Priest. That could actually be interesting. You want to get people invested in Randy Orton again, put him in there against Damian Priest. See what he could do against a guy like Damian Priest. I'd actually love to see Randy Orton in there with Damian Priest, help enhance Damian Priest, and build him up to potentially win the United States Championship. Get Randy Orton away from this bullshit. Get Bray Wyatt off of television. This shit with Bray Wyatt and Alexa Bliss, it's just fucking repetitive. Nobody gives a shit. No matter how good Alexa Bliss plays it, it is the same shit over and over again. How do you expect anyone to care? This was fucking terrible. Randy Orton wins. The Fiend is buried. If you don't comprehend that, I think you may legitimately be mentally fucking challenged. Natalya and Tamina versus Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. This was for the Women's Tag Team Championships. I'm going to be quite honest with you. This was not as bad as the Tag Team Turmoil last night, or 2 nights ago on WrestleMania Night 1. This was not as bad as the Tag Team Turmoil, and I'm going to be quite honest with you. I'd even put this match over Randy Orton and The Fiend. Not even going to bullshit you. Tamina and Natalya versus Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. These 4 women put on a better match than Randy Orton and The Fiend. Not even fucking bullshitting. I don't know how that's fucking possible, but they did it. So, going into this, I thought that Natalya and Tamina were actually going to win the Women's Tag Team titles. Now, that did not happen. How did we get there? Well, Natalya and Tamina were in control early. We had a double back body drop to Nia Jax. Shayna Baszler tagged in. Natalya with a German suplex to Baszler. Natalya is not a bad wrestler. Natalya is not a bad wrestler. She's just boring as shit. She's boring as shit. She's not a bad wrestler, though. Baszler's very good as well. So, Nia Jax slammed Tamina on the floor. Natalya then got her ankle hyperextended by Shayna Baszler. Natalya was actually isolated. Natalya fought back, and this was actually an LOL moment. She legitimately went for the hot tag. She went to slap Tamina's hand, and she legit missed. She legitimately fucking missed. I don't know how that is possible when you're literally right there and you fucking miss the tag when you're 2 inches away from your opponent and you did not slap their hand. That was just fucking embarrassing. I think Natalya, not as embarrassing as what happened to Mandy Rose, but Natalya just inserted herself into meme history with that one. Holy shit! Natalya, she is I'm not sure if she's got the IQ of Braun Strowman, but holy shit. Well, she actually does because of what she did later on in the match, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But holy shit, that was fucking embarrassing. A legit botch of the hot tag. Pretty much sums up this match and how it didn't need to be on the show. So Tamina then got in. She got the hot tag. She had a Samoan drop on Shayna Baszler for a 2. Nia Jackson came in. Tamina and Natalya just stood there like fucking idiots as Nia Jax took her sweet-ass time to jump off the top rope. Double crossbody. Both women kicked out. Natalya then... Not Natalya. Nia Jax then told Tamina that she ain't shit. And she ended up getting slapped by Tamina. Tamina then slammed Nia. It was a half-ass slam, by the way. No way you're going to fucking get Nia Jax up. I mean, for obvious reasons. So, Nia Jax kicked out. Tamina then went for the Superfly Splash. She missed. Natalya then tagged in. Baszler tagged in, and this was fucking stupid. Natalya looked like a fucking dumbass here. Baszler tagged in, Natalya tagged in. Natalya literally saw, she saw Baszler. She was looking at Baszler, and Baszler got the hot tag. Baszler got the tag. She tagged herself in. While Natalya was literally looking at her, and Natalya punched Shayna Baszler off the apron. Nia Jax was in the ring. Natalya locked in the sharpshooter on Nia Jax, even though she was fully aware that Shayna Baszler tagged herself in. She was the legal participant, and Nia Jax was the illegal woman. But yet, Natalya went for the sharpshooter anyway, locked in the sharpshooter, only for Shayna Baszler to come in and lock in the Karafuda clutch. Natalya passed out, and Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax end up retaining the women's tag team championships. Again, this was not as bad as the tag team turmoil, and I would actually say that this was actually better than Randy Orton and The Fiend. Still not good, but it was better than those other 2 matches that we talked about. It was not the worst match on the card. It was about probably the 4th worst match on the card. But here's what I am trying to comprehend. What I'm trying to comprehend is the fact that Natalya and Tamina lost. Based on how they've been booked and how they've been built up over the course of the last few weeks leading up to Mania, and the fact that they won the tag team turmoil, I think that everyone bet on Natalya and Tamina retaining. Not Natalya and Tamina retaining. Natalya and Tamina winning the titles. Not retaining, I apologize. I think everyone bet on Natalya and Tamina actually winning the titles after they won the tag team turmoil. No matter who would have won the tag team turmoil, I think everyone was predicting the winners of the tag team turmoil to beat Shayna and Nia and become the new women's tag team champions. That didn't happen. The outcome surprised me. Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax retained the women's tag team titles clean. And I don't know if you guys are feeling this. But I'm looking at this. I'm watching this match, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm getting this vibe that Shayna Baszler is purposely being kept as a women's tag team champion with Nia Jax because Vince McMahon just does not want to push her as a single star. I feel as though she's legitimately being punished for whatever reason. They're legitimately holding Shayna Baszler back. Because we all know how good Shayna Baszler is. We all know that Shayna Baszler should be in the Raw Women's Championship title picture. We all know that Shayna Baszler should be fighting women like Asuka and women like Rhea Ripley and women like Naomi and women like Charlotte, and she should be going over those women. We all know that Shayna Baszler should be in a prime position to be the next top-tier women's heel on Monday Night Raw, but she's not. And the vibe that I'm getting here is the fact that they've constantly just kept Shayna Baszler paired with Nia Jax for the last 8 fucking months simply to shut everyone up, or shut the idiots up that actually believe that the women's tag team titles are worth a shit. And they gave Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax the women's tag team titles just to get Shayna Baszler a championship, even though that title is worth just about as much as the shit in the toilet after a fucking Taco Bell dinner. So at the end of the day, Vince McMahon is taking the audience for idiots, and Vince McMahon is taking Shayna Baszler as an expendable. Someone who he just does not want to push. Shayna Baszler is legitimately being punished. And Shayna Baszler is legitimately being held down because Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard and all these fucking people that just suck off Vince McMahon and yes him. And yes, absolutely, yes, we are not going to push Shayna Baszler. We're not going to do this. We're not going to do this. And just tell Vince everything that he fucking wants to hear. All these fucking people and Vince McMahon, they just don't want to push Shayna Baszler, and they don't want to invest Shayna Baszler as a singles competitor because we collectively want better for Shayna Baszler, and he lives to piss off the fans. He lives to piss off the fans. That's the entire vibe that I got from this. Shayna Baszler is legitimately being kept with Nia Jax specifically because of the fact that he just does not want to push Shayna Baszler as a singles star, when we all know Shayna Baszler should be in the Raw Women's title picture, holding that title for 400 plus days, similar to what she did with the NXT Women's Championship. It's fucking disgusting. It is fucking disgusting. Match wasn't as bad as I expected. Better than The Fiend and Orton, better than the Tag Team Turmoil, but still, nothing you're going to go back and rewatch. This was a Monday Night Raw match, similar to the AJ Styles, Omos, and New Day match. That was pretty much that. Then we go to Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. And if the first 2 matches were not on the card, if you would have replaced the first 2 matches with Sasha and Bianca and Cesaro and Rollins, and those would have been the 2 matches instead of these 2 opening matches, I'm telling you right now, night 2 as a whole would have been a fantastic show. So we got Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. The fans were actually singing Sami Zayn's theme song. That was actually the best part of the show up until that point. Sami then introduced Logan Paul, and he says that Logan Paul is his biggest advocate, supporting Sami Zayn in his crusade to expose the conspiracy theory against him. So Logan Paul came out. Crowd was booing Logan Paul as I expected they would. So Logan Paul and Sami hugged, and Logan Paul then took a seat at ringside. Crowd hyped for Kevin Owens. Crowd was hyped for Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens looked legitimately happy to be back. Kevin Owens looked to be feeding off the energy of the crowd. You can tell that Kevin Owens is definitely someone who loves what he does, and he loves being in front of live human beings, and he loves competing on a big stage like WrestleMania. So, match started right out of the gate, and we got a pop-up powerbomb within the first 5 seconds. Sami rolled out of the ring. Owens then went for a powerbomb on the apron, but Sami reversed it. Sami went for a half-and-half suplex on the apron. Owens fought out of it, but he ended up catching a brainbuster, a beautiful fucking brainbuster on the apron, right on the back of his neck. Owens was able to beat the count into the ring. Sami then kept the aggression on Kevin Owens. Owens was on the top. He shoved Sami to the floor. Kevin Owens with a beautiful frog splash on Sami Zayn for a 2. Sami Zayn came back with an exploder suplex into the corner. Sami Zayn then hit a blue thunder bomb for a 2. Sami Zayn then with another vicious exploder suplex into the corner. He then hit a half-and-half suplex and another brainbuster. Owens landed on the back of his neck. Owens just barely got the shoulder up. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens then went up on the top. Owens with a corkscrew fisherman superplex. Both men were down. Owens was running back and forth between the corner and Sami Zayn, hitting him with clotheslines. Sami Zayn fought through the pain, hit a beautifully placed haluva kick right in the face. Sami held up Owens, similar to what happened at Battleground back in 2016, 5 years ago. JBL did point that out on commentary. He was actually on commentary. JBL pointed that out on commentary. I'm very, very happy that he did. Sami Zayn went for another Helluva Kick, but Owens countered with a super kick. He delivered a second super kick, held Sami by the head, delivered the stunner, and pinned Sami Zayn for the 1, 2, 3. This went about 10 minutes. But this was an excellent fucking match for 10 minutes. I don't know why they only gave these guys 10 minutes. You could have fucking saved 5 minutes with the segment that we got before the main event and another introduction from Titus and Hulk Hogan. You could have fucking saved. At least 15 minutes combined. You could have given 5 more minutes to Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, and then you could have given 5 more minutes to Big E and Apollo Crews as well. Too many fucking segments, too many fucking long-ass winded video packages. You easily could have given 5 more minutes to Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. That's what I would have done at least. But this was an excellent match for 10 minutes, and they absolutely gave Seth Rollins and Cesaro a run for their money. This was awesome for the 10 minutes that it was. Afterwards, Logan Paul then praised Owens. He went over to Owens and said that was awesome. Sami Zayn went over to Logan Paul's like, what are you doing? So Logan Paul then shoved Sami Zayn down. He went boo-hoo to Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn walked up the ramp. Logan Paul then held up Owens' hand. Owens then gave him a thumbs up, and he was going to shake Logan Paul's hand, but he did not. He delivered a stunner to Logan Paul, and Logan Paul actually sold the shit out of the stunner. He actually fell forward. Onto his shoulder and flopped like a fish. So props to Logan Paul for selling the stunner. I do have to give WWE credit here. A lot of people were predicting that Logan Paul was going to get involved. I thought to myself that, oh my God, here we go. Logan Paul is going to get involved. I was dreading Logan Paul getting involved. He did not get involved. The match from bell to bell, perfectly normal, perfectly clean, and I'm very, very happy that WWE allowed Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens to go out there for 10 minutes and put on a damn good match for the 10 minutes that it was. And it was a nice, clean finish. No bullshit. No shenanigans. No fucking brouhahas with Logan Paul. Logan Paul didn't cost Sami. Logan Paul didn't cost Owens. It was straight up 2 guys getting their moment on WrestleMania. And KO wins clean. As he should. KO gets a WrestleMania moment again with a great fucking match with Sami Zayn. He beats Sami, and he stuns Logan Paul. I do not know where they go with Kevin Owens after this, but I can absolutely see Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn in a Money in the Bank ladder match. I definitely would not mind if Kevin Owens or Sami Zayn won the Money in the Bank ladder match, and to be quite honest with you, Kevin Owens is probably someone that I can definitely see WWE putting the briefcase on after his performances against Roman and this match with Sami Zayn. I don't know how you can look at that performance with Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens and then this one with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn and not want to push Kevin Owens even further. I don't necessarily believe that Roman Reigns is going to be losing the title anytime soon, but if you want to, I definitely would not mind if Kevin Owens wins the Money in the Bank briefcase and you cash it in on Roman Reigns in a scenario in which you have a triple threat match and Roman Reigns doesn't have to be pinned, similar to what Seth Rollins did at WrestleMania 31. And what you can do is you can get the title off of Roman Reigns and maintain his momentum. That way, if you want to, he can go into WrestleMania next year to face Dwayne Johnson, like a lot of people are predicting, and the Universal title is not on the line, which I have absolutely no issue with. I don't mind seeing Roman and The Rock at WrestleMania. It just doesn't need to be for the Universal title. If you need to do it for the Universal title, I would then do it at SummerSlam of this year. And then you could build up a new star to face Roman at WrestleMania. Maybe Kevin Owens holds the Money in the Bank briefcase until WrestleMania. Maybe we see Kevin Owens cash in at WrestleMania, possibly win the Universal title then. Maybe we see something similar. I don't know. But Kevin Owens, he's definitely something that he's definitely someone I can see WWE putting the Money in the Bank briefcase on, and I would not mind Kevin Owens holding the briefcase. Sami Zayn is another one as well. Cesaro's another one as well. It's going to be a very, very interesting scenario of how they book Money in the Bank in June. Actually, they actually moved Money in the Bank back to June. It's not in May anymore. They actually moved it to June, and they're calling the next pay-per-view WrestleMania Backlash. Not really sure what that means. I'm not sure if that means they're coming back to Raymond James Stadium for a Backlash event. I'm not sure if Raymond James Stadium is now going to be the place where they're going to host pay-per-views and pay-per-views only. I'm not sure whether or not we're going to see fans in attendance for pay-per-views only and they're going to use the Thunderdome for weekly television. Kind of stupid. I would just go back to live fans in attendance and I would have them just socially distance with masks at whatever arena that you're operating in. I don't really understand the point for a Thunderdome now that you have fans back. But WrestleMania Backlash, that's going to be on the 16th, and then after that, I can absolutely see Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, and Cesaro. I can absolutely see them all being involved in the Money in the Bank ladder match, and those three are definitely top 3 contenders to win Money in the Bank this year. Owens gets the win in an excellent match for 10 minutes over Sami Zayn. Next, we had Matt Riddle versus Sheamus. This was for the United States Championship, and Matt Riddle and Sheamus, they tore the fucking house down. They absolutely tore the house down, and I would have to say that this was probably their best match together. Matt Riddle and Sheamus, for 13 minutes, they gave you a fucking war. Excellent fucking United States Championship match. Awesome match, and they absolutely made the United States Championship feel important. These are the matches that's going to get the U.S. title over. The outcome was not surprising, but I did not predict this outcome, nor was I in support of this outcome, but I have a theory as to why they did it. So, we started off this match, Sheamus in control, pounding away on Riddle. We had a nice suplex for 2. Riddle came back as Sheamus was on the top rope, and he came back with a Spanish fly off the top rope to Sheamus. Looked fucking crazy. Riddle then mounted a comeback, had a big exploder, a Broton, and a bro hammer, aka a jackhammer. Little tribute to Goldberg right there. That got a 2 count. Riddle then slingshotted into the ring, similar to how Adam Hangman Page does the buckshot lariat, but Sheamus caught him with a vicious fucking punt knee strike. If you did not see this punt knee strike, it was fucking nasty. Vicious fucking punt knee strike by Sheamus to Matthew Riddle. We had an Alabama slam by Sheamus for a 2. Riddle then came back with a German suplex to Sheamus on the apron, a PK, and a springboard floating bro. Riddle then hit the floating bro in the ring, but Sheamus was able to kick out. Riddle then locked in a triangle choke. Sheamus fought out of it, pinned Riddle, but Riddle kicked out and locked in a rear naked choke. Sheamus got to the ropes. Sheamus went up to the top. He could not bring himself to do the white noise, and he actually almost fell. So he went for the white noise, but he did not catch his balance. He got down to the ring, delivered white noise in the ring instead of an avalanche white noise. He caught himself. And then he went up to the top rope and delivered a diving knee drop right to the neck and shoulder region of Matt Riddle. Riddle barely kicked out. Riddle then reversed the bro kick. Sheamus reversed the final flash. Riddle went for a springboard moonsault, and Sheamus with a bro kick. And I don't think I've ever seen this before. Riddle with a springboard moonsault, Sheamus with a bro kick while Riddle was in mid-moonsault. Reminded me of what happened with Adam Cole and Ricochet back at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 4. Wasn't as good as that, but this was fucking brutal. A fucking awesome bro. Probably one of the best bro kicks that I've personally seen. Sheamus covers, and Sheamus wins the United States Championship in an awesome match. A fucking war for 13 minutes. Matt Riddle and Sheamus deliver an awesome match. The outcome was not surprising. I was not in favor of it. Did Sheamus need to win the United States Championship? The answer is no. I understand he is a hard worker. I understand that his work is long overdue for a payoff, but at the end of the day, Matt Riddle didn't really have a reign with it. Matt Riddle deserved a legitimate run. Matt Riddle deserved a longer time with the championship, but at the same point in time, I'm not surprised that Matt Riddle did not walk out of WrestleMania with the title because of the simple fact that they never had any plans. They never had any plans to have Matt Riddle as the United States Champion. Matt Riddle was merely the United States Champion because of Keith Lee not being in good favor with Vince McMahon. And they just fucking gave up on Keith Lee. And they needed to get the title off of Lashley in order for Lashley to face Drew for the WWE Championship. So now, Matt Riddle loses the United States Championship after a 49-day reign. Completely irrelevant. He had a couple of decent title defenses. He's an excellent wrestler. But at the end of the day, Riddle loses the U.S. title. Not surprising because he was never supposed to be champion to begin with. Now, I was giving this some thought. Matt Riddle, I can absolutely see him in the Money in the Bank ladder match. Does Matt Riddle win the briefcase? I don't know. Possibly. But right now, as far as the next pay-per-view goes, WrestleMania Backlash, Lashley only has one legitimate challenger, and that's Braun Strowman. He's the only guy that has any sort of momentum. He got a few wins leading up to WrestleMania as he beat Jackson Ryker and Elias, and then on top of that, he beat Shane McMahon at WrestleMania. So he's on like a 4 or 5 match winning streak. If anything, Braun Strowman is going to be the next challenger for Bobby Lashley. I don't see him winning, but after Braun Strowman, who else is going to be there for Lashley to contend with? If anything, they took the title off of Riddle to free up another babyface to go up against Lashley for the WWE Championship, considering we know the history that Matt Riddle and Bobby Lashley have. Now, I don't expect Matt Riddle to win the WWE Championship, but considering Money in the Bank is not next month, I do not see Matt Riddle in the WWE Championship Money in the Bank ladder match. And I actually see him fighting for the WWE Championship at Money in the Bank against Bobby Lashley. Because again, outside of Braun Strowman, there's legitimately nobody with any fucking ounce of credibility to face off against Bobby Lashley. It's too soon for Damian Priest. Randy Orton has one fucking win under his belt. He beat The Fiend. Who gives a shit? Beating The Fiend is similar to fucking beating Zack Ryder. And I love Matt Cardona, but I mean, come on. Beating The Fiend is fucking worthless. You're not going to justify Randy Orton getting a WWE title shot by beating The Fiend. Drew McIntyre lost clean. Matt Riddle just lost the U.S. title. So, Sheamus is U.S. champion, and that's like, by process of elimination, he's out. So Matt Riddle, he lost the United States Championship specifically to free up another individual to go up against Lashley. I don't see Matt Riddle winning the WWE Championship, but I absolutely see Matt Riddle as a guy that's going to potentially do the job for Bobby Lashley and help enhance Bobby Lashley and his WWE Championship title reign. Who wins Money in the Bank? I would give Money in the Bank to Keith Lee. You know, considering Keith Lee was on the pre-show, it really does further validate. He was on the watch-along pre-show for WrestleMania. It only further validates my point that Keith Lee's not injured. He's just off of television because Vince McMahon fucking gave up on the guy. But the match itself between Riddle and Sheamus was awesome. Riddle is definitely someone I could see fighting for the WWE Championship, and definitely someone that I can see in the Money in the Bank ladder match, but I feel as though they took the U.S. title off of Riddle to free up a babyface to go up against Lashley and help enhance Bobby Lashley. Braun Strowman will inevitably lose to Lashley at WrestleMania Backlash, and then we are going to get a feud between Matt Riddle and Bobby Lashley at the following pay-per-view. And that's pretty much that. Matt Riddle loses the United States Championship. Sheamus is the new champion. An awesome match, I will say. An awesome match here between Riddle and Sheamus, and for a good chunk of time, this was the match of night number 2. From that, we moved on to Big E versus Apollo Crews. This was a Nigerian drum fight for the Intercontinental Championship, so this was pretty much a street fight with Nigerian drums. So, Wale performed Big E's theme song. Very nice performance by Wale. So Apollo Crews came out. They immediately grabbed kendo sticks. They started whipping each other right out of the fucking gate. Big E then got the early advantage. He hit Apollo Crews, then came back and hit Big E with a kendo stick. Big E tossed Apollo over the top rope and hit a spear to the floor. Apollo Crews fought back, hit a Death Valley driver on the apron. That got it too. Apollo Crews then dumped the steel steps onto Big E. He tried to dump the steel steps onto Big E, similar to what he did to Big E a couple weeks back, but Big E was able to dodge it. Big E and Apollo were brawling on the apron, and Big E hit a Uranagi off the apron onto the bottom half of the steel steps. Looked fucking brutal. You could not pay me all the money in the world to take that, even if those steps are aluminum. Big E then set up a table in the ring. Apollo Crews recovered. He placed Big E on the table. He went up to the top. He went for the frog splash, but Big E moved out of the way. Big E moved out of the way. Apollo Crews went crashing through the fucking table. Big E hit the big ending. Big ending connects, but out of nowhere, out of fucking nowhere, Dabba-Kato, yes, Dabba-Kato, the individual who had a lot of fucking shine on Raw Underground just 7 months ago. Dabba-Kato, he came out wearing Nigerian soldier wear. I'm not sure what the fuck he was wearing, but he looked like a fucking Nigerian soldier. He assaulted Big E and he delivered a choke slam. He placed Big E down in the ring after the choke slam, and he placed Apollo onto Big E, and Apollo Crews wins the Intercontinental Championship with some assistance from Dabba-Kato. Listen, the match itself, it felt a little rushed. It felt like they just wanted to get it over with. But the wrestling was not bad whatsoever. Big E and Apollo, they worked very, very well together. And they did a lot of good stuff in this match. I didn't mind it. But here's what I want to know. Here's what I'm failing to comprehend. Here's what I'm pissed about. The match was okay. Match may have been rushed. The match was fine. But where the fuck is it written? Seriously. I really don't know why WWE needs to have every single fucking heel on the main Raw. I don't understand. What is their fucking fetish with having every single fucking heel on the main roster win a fucking match, win a big moment, win consistently with cheating or some type of outside interference? There's only one heel that I can tell you right now that actually wins and loses with fucking dignity. The only fucking heel on the main roster right now that wins and loses, whether it be a consistent string of losses or a consistent string of wins, there's only one heel that I can honestly tell you that never fucking cheats. If he loses, he loses. If he wins, he wins. And it's Sheamus. I don't think I've ever seen Sheamus do a roll of the tights, or a thumb to the eye, or a fucking low blow, or any type of fucking interference, or feet on the ropes. I don't think I've ever seen Sheamus do that, ever. You had Sheamus win the U.S. title clean. You couldn't have done the same thing with Apollo Crews. And I'm not shitting on the partnership. That's not what I'm pissed about. I don't mind Dabba-Kato being paired with Apollo Crews to enhance this Nigerian prince gimmick. I don't mind that. That's not a bad thing. Dabba-Kato with Apollo Crews, that's not a bad thing. He has a nice presence, and he could add a lot to Apollo Crews and this Nigerian prince gimmick. That is not the problem. The problem is, at every single twist and turn, when you have a heel, you always need to throw a scenario in into the heels' plans in which they need to cheat to win. Even Roman Reigns, and he's the best thing about WWE right now, but even Roman Reigns, he's had scenarios in which he's cheated. He needed Jey Uso in order to help him retain the Universal title on different occasions. He's beaten Jey Uso clean before. He's beaten Kevin Owens clean before. So he gets a little pass. He can cheat every now and then, but even Roman Reigns is guilty of that. Sheamus, I don't think I've ever seen him cheat to win. Why does Apollo Crews need assistance in order to win? Why didn't you just have Apollo win clean, and then you could have introduced Dabba-Kato after Apollo Crews' win? That would have been much more impactful, and that would have made Apollo Crews look a lot more legitimate. Shit like this, in which heels constantly needing any type of outside interference in order to win, it just devalues the legitimacy of the individual that you're trying to build up. Now, Apollo Crews wins the title, right outcome. I don't mind the partnership. I think the partnership definitely has potential, but I don't fucking understand the fucking fetish with you constantly having heels win because of outside assistance. Adam Cole, for 403 days, was the NXT champion. How many times did the Undisputed Era get involved in Adam Cole's championship matches? I can only name about 3. Throughout that title reign, the majority of the time, Adam Cole defended that title by himself and won on his own. He beat Akira Tozawa by himself. He beat Johnny Gargano by himself twice. He beat Daniel Bryan by himself. He beat Matt Riddle by himself. He beat Pete Dunne by himself. No cheating, no outside interference, no nothing. Why does Apollo Crews need outside interference? Why can't he just win because he's just better than Big E? Why not have him win and actually enhance him legitimately instead of kind of devaluing that championship win by having Dabba-Kato gift him the Intercontinental Championship on a silver platter? Or I mean, am I thinking too logically for WWE? I don't know. But match was fine. Felt a little rushed. But Apollo Crews is the new Intercontinental Champion. Right outcome. Glad that Apollo Crews is Intercontinental Champion. Glad that Apollo Crews is starting to rebuild a resume for himself on the main roster. And now he is going to have a legitimate run with the IC title. And it should be interesting to see what happens with this new partnership with Dabba-Kato. Rhea Ripley versus Asuka. This was for the Raw Women's Championship. Band that performed Rhea Ripley's theme song fucking sucked. They fucking sucked. I don't know what WWE was going for there, but man, a lot of live bands, like a lot of live metal bands, really aren't too good. You have to really be special. You really have to be a legitimate singer, a legit legend to really make a live metal performance sound good. And this band performance absolutely fucking sucked. Terrible live band. Rhea Ripley made her entrance. Asuka came out. She kept the aggression on Rhea Ripley early. She used her quickness. Rhea Ripley took over. Very nice drop kick. Ripley reversed a knee bar into a deadlift German suplex. Very nice stuff there. Asuka fought back. She had a big missile drop kick, big German suplex, and a spinning heel kick to Ripley. Running hip attack for a 2 count. Rhea dropped Asuka on the apron, face first. Asuka then fought back. She hit a DDT off the apron to the floor. Looked like it sucked. If that did not land right, both women were not going to be wrestling the rest of the match in good shape. So, Ripley just beat the count. Ripley then locked in a reverse cloverleaf on Asuka. Asuka reversed it into an armbar. Rhea Ripley powered out of it. Rhea Ripley then delivered a Cesaro-like suplex from the apron into the ring. That got a 2 count. Rhea Ripley reversed the Asuka lock. Rhea Ripley then delivered the Riptide for the win. Got the 1, 2, 3, and Rhea Ripley is your new Raw Women's Champion. This was not a bad match. This was not a bad match. Rhea Ripley and Asuka, they did what they could. They worked hard. But I can't help but feel as though multiple things, actually. Number one, this match could have been a lot better than it was, and there could have been a lot more investment in this match, specifically because of the fact that you could have had Rhea Ripley win the fucking Chamber like she should have. Rhea Ripley could have won the fucking Chamber like she should have, and then you could have actually built a storyline from that. Rhea Ripley wins the Raw Women's Championship, and obviously it was a complete fucking backup plan, considering they had fucking Lacey Evans versus Charlotte Flair as the Raw Women's title match. But I'm happy that Rhea Ripley actually won the Raw Women's Championship here. Was it the right creative decision? You could swing either way. I would have to say yes, simply because of the fact that you do not want another repeat of last year. And if Ripley won, to be quite honest with you, Rhea Ripley would have been looked at as a complete fucking failure on the main roster within 3 weeks. Rhea Ripley is now the Raw Women's Champion. You had the opportunity. You needed to pull the trigger. Whether or not Rhea Ripley was ready, whether or not it was the right thing to do, you needed to pull the trigger. WWE did the right thing and pulled the trigger. Now what? Now what? That's the main question that we need to ask. Now what? The division fucking sucks. The division fucking sucks. It's an absolute shambles. It's the worst that it's ever been since the days of the fucking Divas Championship. So Rhea Ripley has legitimately no competition, and Charlotte is on her way back any day now, and we are headed towards a repeat of last year. If you actually think that Charlotte is going to come back, and you actually think that WWE is not going to push Charlotte over Rhea Ripley, don't matter how long Rhea Ripley's title reign is, Rhea Ripley is going to be on borrowed time, because as soon as WWE inserts Charlotte into the title picture, Rhea Ripley's title reign is dead. Dead. Absolutely fucking dead. The fact that Charlotte is on her way back, Charlotte's going to bury Rhea again. There's no division. The division sucks. It's in shambles. Decent match. Rhea Ripley, she is the Raw Women's Champion. I want to be happy for Rhea Ripley, but I can't because of how shitty the build has been, how shitty the storyline has been. Everything just felt flat. Everything just felt flat. And Asuka, man, what a fucking reign for Asuka. This was the best fucking thing that Asuka did. Decent match overall. Probably the best match that Asuka's had in this second reign as Raw Women's Champion. 223 days, loses it to Rhea Ripley. Yeah. What does that tell you what WWE thinks of Asuka? I don't give a shit. We could be headed towards another match with Asuka at Backlash, more likely than not, and Rhea Ripley's going to retain the title then. That was pretty much that. Bayley came out, and this fucking pissed me off here. Bayley interrupted Hulk Hogan and Titus O'Neil. She was going off about Pyro before the Bellas came out. Bayley then said they came out looking like Elmo. She looked over to Nikki. She said John Cena was not here tonight. They said ding dong goodbye. They legitimately attacked Bayley and sent her down the stage, and they stood on the stage celebrating with Titus O'Neil and Hulk Hogan. And the fans actually booed the Bellas. The fans actually booed the Bellas as they attacked Bayley and sent her down the stage. Good. Good. Well deserved. So the Bellas came out, which by the fucking way, I'm going to say again, the Bellas, they're not Hall of Fame worthy. They do not deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. They've done absolutely nothing to be in the Hall of Fame. And if you actually believe that the Bellas deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, I don't give a shit who you are. You are a complete fucking retard. And if I need to explain to you why the Bellas don't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, you are just as retarded as I say you are. The unworthy Bella Twins, the unworthy Hall of Famers, they came out, and Bayley is fucking embarrassed. You know what this reminded me of? This honestly reminded me of what happened all the way back at WrestleMania 32 with The Rock and the Wyatt family, and how The Rock just buried the Wyatt family. Now, this was not as bad. This was not as bad as what happened with The Rock and the Wyatt family at WrestleMania 32, but this was still fucking bad. Bayley, one of the best women's wrestlers of the modern era. Maybe one of the best wrestlers that this company has ever seen, period. A woman who's literally done everything. A woman who's literally poured her heart and fucking soul out for this company. NXT Women's Champion, Raw Women's Champion, Women's Tag Team Champion, Money in the Bank winner. Held the SmackDown Women's title twice. Held it in her second reign for 380 days. Carried this fucking company on her back with Sasha Banks throughout the pandemic era. Made the shows as interesting as possible and gave you a Match of the Year candidate with Sasha Banks at Hell in a Cell just 6 months ago. And here she is on WrestleMania. You have no plans for her, no match for her. She interrupts person after person after person, only to get shut down. And then, in her final interruption, she gets fucking embarrassed, slapped, attacked, and thrown down the stage by two light versions of Kim Kardashian. Man, what a way to repay Bayley after all the service that she's done. This was fucking disgusting. I don't know how anyone is going to look at Bayley now. Now, she'll be fine because Bayley's Bayley. She's fantastic. But, man, if you want to talk about something that diminished the credibility of an individual, it's not overly damaged, the credibility, but it's still fucking damaged. Bayley should be built up to face off against Bianca at SummerSlam for the title. The fact that Becky's going to come back now, I'm worried that Bayley's going to take a back seat as well. And they're going to insert Becky in there to face off against Bianca Belair. And I'm glad the fans booed the Bellas. I'm glad, because the fans see right through this bullshit. The fans knew it was bullshit. I am happy that the Bellas got booed. They deserve to be booed. Main event. Roman Reigns versus Edge versus Daniel Bryan. This was a triple threat match for the Universal Championship. And this match was fantastic. This match was absolutely fantastic from start to finish. Everything about this match screamed WrestleMania, and a lot of people were saying that this was probably the only WrestleMania-worthy match throughout the entire two-night event. I actually would have to concur. I don't think anything lived up to how great Roman, Bryan, and Edge was. This was absolutely the best match out of the entire two-night event. Absolutely a Match of the Year candidate as well. All three of these men, including Jey Uso as well. Jey Uso played his role very, very well. Everyone played their role well. Triple threat match for the Universal Championship. This was fucking fantastic from start to finish. Jey Uso attacked Bryan and Edge within a few seconds. All legal. Maybe Jey Uso should give Retribution, the former members of Retribution, a little lesson. When it's no disqualification, you can do shit like that if you're unaware. So, Bryan with a suicide dive to Roman. Edge then took out his frustrations on Jey Uso. He sent Roman into the barricade and into the apron and into the post. Edge then delivered a leaping DDT on the bottom half of the steel steps to Jey Uso. Officials then took Jey Uso to the back, and we were with a regular triple threat. Bryan was in control. We had a big missile dropkick to Edge. Bryan was actually receiving some boos. Crowd was actually pretty split. Booing Edge, booing Bryan. It was back and forth. Crowd was actually very much into Edge since they unleashed the Rated R Superstar. Roman, however, was booed completely. I was a little shocked that Roman was booed, but I'm actually happy that Roman was booed because that goes to show you how well he's doing his job. That goes to show you how well, how masterful, how great Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns have been to get Roman Reigns hated, even after everyone wanted to turn him heel, and everyone wanted to see him turn heel, and we wanted to cheer him as a heel. Even so, and how popular people have come out in droves supporting this Roman Reigns heel turn, supporting the Tribal Chief gimmick, supporting the head of the table. The fact that Roman was heavily booed, and everyone was booing the shit out of Roman, chanting, Roman sucks. That goes to show you how well Roman Reigns is playing this heel gimmick. He's being hated for all the right reasons. I like that. So, Roman Reigns caught Bryan in mid-suicide dive, delivered a belly-to-belly on the floor, looked brutal. Roman then took out Edge. He was booed heavily. Edge tried to take over. He went for the spear, but Roman Reigns delivered a Superman punch. Both men went for spears, actually, and they collided with their shoulders. Both men were down. Out of nowhere, Daniel Bryan came in, flying headbutts to both Edge and Roman Reigns. Bryan then with the yes kicks to Roman and Edge. Big kick to Roman Reigns after hitting a running knee to Edge. Roman Reigns was able to kick out. Bryan then locked in the yes lock, but Edge broke it up. Edge was then locked in the yes lock, but Roman saved that. Roman then took Bryan to the outside, crowd chanting Roman sucks, and he powerbombed Daniel Bryan off of the bottom half of the steel steps through the announce table. Bryan folded up like an accordion. Roman Reigns spreading his hands, basking in the glory of WrestleMania, basking in the glory of his handiwork. Edge comes out of fucking nowhere, spears Roman off the steel steps to the floor. Edge then brought in some steel chairs. Roman stopped him. Edge was then able to wrestle Roman to the mat, and he locked in a crossface on Roman. Roman tried to escape. Edge, he then grabbed the bottom leg of a steel chair that broke off, and he put it in Reigns' mouth and wrenched back. That looked like it sucked for Roman. That looked legitimately painful. Out of nowhere, Bryan resurfaces from the table rubble. Bryan comes back from the dead. Bryan then locks in the yes lock on Roman's other shoulder. And there was a double submission. All of a sudden, Bryan and Edge started headbutting each other while they had Roman in the double crossface. That was fucking awesome. Bryan then got the upper hand. They were going at it. Bryan stomped on Edge's neck. Edge then countered the running knee with a spear. Edge then speared Roman. The ref went for the count, but Bryan yanked the referee out. Just barely. Edge then becomes unhinged. He attacks Reigns and Bryan back and forth with the steel chair shots. He puts chairs underneath both Reigns and Bryan. Edge delivers a concerto to Daniel Bryan. He was going to go for Roman, but out of nowhere, Jey Uso comes in. Edge took care of him. He hit him with a chair, and he speared him. Roman Reigns then with a spear to Edge, and he delivered a concerto to Edge. Reigns then pulled both men over each other, and he pinned both men. Yes, Roman Reigns pinned both men, but realistically, he just pinned Edge. Realistically, Edge's shoulders were just down. But Roman Reigns pins both men to retain the Universal Championship in a fantastic way to close night one. An excellent fucking main event. The best match across both nights of WrestleMania. Surprise, surprise, it's Roman Reigns. Of course it was going to be the best match across both nights of WrestleMania. Roman Reigns retains the title, rightfully so. I actually was a little confused. I actually thought that they were going to have Roman win by just pinning Edge, specifically because I wanted them to get one more match out of Daniel Bryan at the next pay-per-view. Now, they could still do that. They could absolutely still do that. They could have Bryan get one more shot at Roman, and we could potentially see Daniel Bryan and Edge go into a program at SummerSlam. But as far as this goes, Roman pinning both men, I mean, you can't get any more legitimate than that. Roman Reigns retains, rightfully so. The only thing that I'm apprehensive about is the fact that Roman did not just pin Edge. He pinned Edge and Bryan. Now, they could still get another match out of Bryan, but I'm just worried that they're going to push Cesaro too early. I'm worried that they're going to push Cesaro against Roman legitimately at Backlash or at Money in the Bank in the next 2 months. And I'm legitimately worried that they're just going to use Cesaro as another body to enhance Roman. And I don't want that. Cesaro's the guy to beat Roman. If there's one guy right now, there is nobody on that roster right now that is more worthy of defeating Roman and winning the Universal title from Roman Reigns other than Cesaro. I said it wasn't going to be Edge. I said it wasn't going to be Bryan. It's not Dwayne. It's not Goldberg. It's not Big E. Big E's not ready yet. It's not Seth Rollins. It's not Shinsuke Nakamura. It's Cesaro. One more match out of Bryan would do Roman Reigns wonders. One more match with Bryan would absolutely enhance Roman Reigns even more. I do not want to see Cesaro versus Roman Reigns at Backlash or Money in the Bank. SummerSlam, the earliest, is the day to do it. You either do it at SummerSlam and you pull the trigger, or you can have Cesaro win Money in the Bank and he can cash in on Roman Reigns and you can protect Roman Reigns in that scenario. Maybe he cashes in a triple threat match and pins the other guy to win the championship. But either way, if Roman Reigns is to lose that title, if Roman Reigns loses that title to anyone right now but Cesaro, this entire Tribal Chief gimmick would have been a waste of time. Roman Reigns retains the Universal title, rightfully fucking so, as he should, by pinning both men. This was an excellent match. I would like to see one more match out of Daniel Bryan at Backlash, and then I can absolutely see Bryan and Edge going into a program at SummerSlam. Not really sure where Edge goes. I think Edge should take a little bit of a break. I think Edge should take a little bit of a breather, and we could potentially see Edge make his return after Money in the Bank, which I believe is on June 20th, if I'm not mistaken. And ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up this edition of The Rewind. I would like to thank each and every single one of you who tuned into this video. I greatly appreciate each and every single one of you. Like, comment, subscribe, check out all the links in the description. I am going to get set and ready for work. I am going to make some money, and I'm going to do what I do best. Got to get on some college work later this week. I am getting set for graduation as well. I have an interview on Thursday regarding a entry-level accounting position, so wish me luck there if you can. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm DJ Storms. This has been The Rewind for WrestleMania 37, night number 2. Overall, WrestleMania, a solid show across 2 nights, a good show, not great, specifically because of the lack of care when it comes to booking, and obviously WWE's lazy mentality of, hey, we're WWE, they're going to watch anyway, and I really do hope that at some fucking point, Triple H has some sort of influence and he fucking kicks this mentality. Because I'm really sick and tired of the lackluster builds and a show not feeling like what a wrestling show really should feel like, if you know what I mean. But overall, an overall good WrestleMania. I would say that this was probably better than WrestleMania 35. I would say it was absolutely better than last year's WrestleMania, absolutely better than WrestleMania 34, absolutely better than WrestleMania 33 and 32. It was not better than WrestleMania 31. I would say this was probably overall the best WrestleMania since WrestleMania 31. For the most part, every big match delivered. For the most part, matches had the right outcomes. And ultimately, we got a fairly good, not great, not fantastic, but a good WrestleMania. Majority of it didn't really feel like WrestleMania because of the build, but we got some decent wrestling overall. And that's pretty much that. I'm DJ Storms. This has been The Rewind, and I will catch you guys tonight for Monday Night Raw, and of course, Saturday for the Lightning Flash update, which of course will be streaming live. You already know what to do. I will catch you guys later.